latest podcast, The Heidelcast.
It's a Heidel minicast. And now, Scott Clark.
So what did Amyraut say in 1637 the first time he was put on trial?
If the Heidelcast helps you, won't you help us keep it going? Please make the coffer clink by clicking on the PayPal link or by sending a check to Heidelberg Reformation Association, 1637 East Valley Parkway, number 391, Escondido, California, 92027.
Did you know you can subscribe to the Heidel blog simply by entering your email address at heidelblog.net/subscribe? You just enter your email address, and then once a day we will send you an email, a newsletter, letting you know what was published for that day on the Heidel blog. That's it. We don't do anything to your email. We don't harvest it. We don't sell it. We don't do anything bad with it. We just send you good stuff. That's it.
The Heidelcast.
So this is from Roger Nicole, who wrote his doctoral dissertation, I think at Harvard. I actually just checked it out. I'm going to take a closer look at it. And this is from a piece he did called A Brief Survey on the Controversy of Universal Grace, 1634 to 1661. And if you've been listening to this series, All and Only, I'm responding to the claim that Amyraut and Amyraldianism and hypothetical universalism is just another species of Reformed theology. No big deal, just shows the breadth and the diversity of Reformed theology in the 17th century, and people need to lighten up and get over it and just go ahead and admit Amyraldian candidates to the ministry of the Reformed churches. And I want to say, well, I don't think so, and here's why. So first time that Amyraut was put on trial at Alençon in 1637, there was a lot of controversy. And this is what Roger Nicole, in his doctoral dissertation on Amyraut, wrote, or some of what he wrote on this trial in 1637. And I quote from Nicole, naturally enough, and I won't do it in Roger's accent, naturally enough, in the explanations they gave, Amyraut and Testard sought to conform their presentation and language as closely as they could to the traditional Reformed views without making an outright disavowal of their previously printed sentiments. It would be difficult to maintain that they were wholly free of dissimulation in this matter, which is Nicole's very polite way of saying that they didn't tell the truth. For instance, it seems fairly obvious that their printed utterances were ill in keeping with the canons of the Synod of Dort. And that's one of the things I like about this quotation is this is the case I'm making, that it's not possible to reconcile Amyraut with Dort, right? And Dort is our baseline. That's what I've been trying to establish, to which they pledged allegiance. In view of what they wrote later, the conclusion is inevitable. Either that they were not very forthright or that they did not yet grasp well the implications of their own position. 2. The Synod pronounced mild censure upon them by prohibiting certain expressions that they had used, such as conditional decrees, Christ died equally for all, God's velleity, or vehement desire of things that do not come to pass, and others. In blaming these forms of language, they indirectly blamed the views of which they were the natural formulation. The explanation given by Amyraut, that these were simply anthropomorphic, is rather unconvincing. The question here is not merely one of terms chosen or of method pursued. Rather, it relates to the fundamental question of the nature and order of the divine decrees. To suggest that in God the decree is one and that there is no order is subversive of the whole plan of salvation. This is what B.B. Warfield argued in The Plan of Salvation.
This is the Heidelcast.
The suggestion was made, this is number 3, and entertained at the Synod that some of Amyraut's and Testard's opponents had personal rather than theological grievances against them. Also, that their representations of Salmurian views were unreliable and extreme. The latter was probably true of Dumoulin, who had not been content to quote, but had, with devastating effect, drawn the logical implications which he saw in the position. The fact that the views of Amyraut and Testard paralleled quite closely those of their teacher, John Cameron, was an incentive for leniency. It seemed awkward and unjust to condemn posthumously one whose great services in the controversies against Arminians and Roman Catholics deserved the lasting gratitude of the Reformed churches of France. 5. If it was not desired to deal with utmost severity by deposing Amyraut and Testard from their charges on the grounds of heresy, there was rather little room left to express the synod's dissatisfaction. Indeed, to censure them outright without deposing them would greatly impair their usefulness, perhaps wreck the Academy of Saint-Maur. Short of dismissal, there seemed only one course open to synod: mild censure. It may be thought that the majority intended just this in the decision rendered. 6. In order to preclude further complications, the synod forbade discussion on the points raised. This decision proved ineffective, since jurisdiction was lacking outside of France. Furthermore, it erroneously suggested that discussion on these topics was wrong, rather than that certain opinions on these issues were false. Unless there are purely personal factors at work, one can scarcely hope to solve a theological dispute by shutting off debate. For some time, the controversy seemed to abate, although in 1638, the Arminian Cercolaeus, who died in 1659, having secured a copy of Dumoulin's refutation, maliciously published it without the consent of its author under the title of An Examination of the Doctrine of Messrs. Amyraut et Testard, published in Amsterdam in 1638. Next time, we'll take a look at a little more of Nicole's history of the controversy.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for more from the Heidelcast, brought to you by Heidelberg Reformation Association.org. Don't forget, when the coin in the coffer clinks, the cost of bandwidth shrinks. Copyright Heidelberg Reformation Association. All rights reserved. This is a Heidel Media production.
To this podcast.